And then we get our WCW champion, the Giant, versus Hollywood Hogan.
Who cuts quite a good promo earlier, and I thought, with his unbelievably deep voice.
Giant.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was good.
I mean, I think he actually looks better in that little vignette than he ever looked before or after. He looked huge and on it and plugged in and unknowable, a bit Sasquatchy, which was good. You know, in this town where the sun is going down, you do not want to be around when it does. I looked at him and I thought, this looks iconic. You look great here. They do show some other people in the audience as well. There's a guy with a helmet with the big horns on, very much looking like the guy who, you know, stormed the Capitol, who looked like the Jamiroquai man. And I thought for a moment I saw Vladimir, the super fan, wearing a red beret, like a Guardian Angel's red beret in the front.
Oh, like the ones they used to have on the tube in New York.
Curtis Silver, I think, was the guy who set that up. I remember seeing one of them. I'm old enough to remember seeing Guardian Angels on the tube in London.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're just sort of branching out? Or
yeah,
just
they had a UK
one?
chapter,
right.
that lasted a while, and you'd occasionally see them on the tube, and they'd be...
Different problems, though, surely, even for the 80s.
Easier to be one here.
Easier to be one.
Easier to be
I
one
wouldn't
here.
mind. I mean, it's just basically community police officer.
It was. Well, it wasn't even that, really. It was that you wore a beret, and then, you know, people went, one of those are you? And you went, yep. And you were like, any training? Nope. got any extra powers? Nope.
Nope.
What are you going to do if it all kicks off? Ask it to settle down. Amazing. Out comes Michael Buffer, wearing black instead of his customary yellow and red. Well, wait till the video comes out. He bills him at 6'6", Hogan here, which is... Hogan has always been billed as 6'8". Always.
And he's nowhere near.
Buffer's just like, 6'6". He's like, why are we telling the truth now?
Yes.
What are you doing, Buffer? They like Buffer, even though he's in his full suit.
Yeah.
And, he wouldn't turn up to Sturgis if he wasn't being paid.
Oh, he'd have danger money, surely.
They'll give him so much to do that. It's easy. It's so easy.
A big bag of please.
In front of the world's most disgusting men who are drowning me out with their shitmobiles. Really brave. Bobby Heenan by now does sound drunk.
Yes.
And he's begun slurring. And there's a funny bit where Hogan comes out and he's going, scum! Turning his back on everyone. Look at this, 3,000 bikers in Sturgis. Like, it's really gone bad.
You know, it never bothered me. I always knew the guy was a scum. I always knew he would turn his back on everyone.
And Brain, I hate to say it, for probably the first time tonight, you're right.
Oh, of course I'm right. And look at this, 300,000 bikers in Sturgis.
Unbelievable. He does it one point. Unbelievable.
He says, I'm the Giant. At one point, Giant. Scum is really funny because he keeps saying scum. And you know how sometimes when people get drunk, they lock into, you sort of go, that's the word they keep using when they're drunk. And Heenan is very much like, scum. And it's too strong. It's too strong.
It's too heavy. It's a wrestling show, Bobby, for crying out loud.
It really is.
And down he goes. The Giant put him down.
But see, Hogan is smart enough. He always rolls out of the ring.
Jeez,
he always rolls out of the ring.
It's unbelievable. And he keeps on butting in, and you can hear Dusty Rhodes drops out of this match pretty much entirely.
Yeah,
because I think he's just like,
this, yeah.
I can't get a word in. I'm not going to talk to him. I don't want to set him off. This is one of the things, Hogan, people don't really give him enough credit because he took to being a rule breaker almost effortlessly.
Yeah.
He's been a hero, the biggest hero in the business for 16 years. And in a month, he's changed his entire style, the entire way he wrestles, all the things he does in the ring. He becomes such a good heel, and he doesn't get enough credit. But he's not, the ability he could flip that on the dime.
But he's not quite there yet, though, is he? Because he spends a lot of the time out of the ring.
This is a fucking terrible match.
It's awful. It's absolutely dreadful.
10 minutes of stalling at the start. Then they do 5 minutes of test of strength. Then they
slow
do
holds,
10 minutes working each other's fucking arms. I mean, if this had been on a regular show, I think, it would have sold out, but this would have been booed out of the arena. And I think it's a mistake on Hogan's part. And Hogan is going, this Giant is just like Andre the Giant. And he isn't. The Giant could go. He could do a lot more. And instead, they treat him like Andre the Giant. And it's all this slow ponder. It's such a bad call.
Yeah.
By the time the Giant was hulking up and doing Hogan's thing back to him, I felt so bad that we had to watch this. I was just like, this is excruciatingly embarrassing watching this.
I'll tell you something. Hogan's not as much of a chicken as you think he is.
I'm not saying Brady's a chicken.
He's doing something with our minds. He's messing with our minds.
Yeah, he's in a mind game with it. He's in a mind game with it.
The bikers as well don't know that Hogan is a bad guy. So in his first pay-per-view after turning heel, they're all delighted to see him and they're cheering and cheering and cheering.
Yeah.
Because they've heard of him. You know, and it's just all of these things that just set totally the wrong note. Absolutely infuriating. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash interfere at the end. The Giant gets hit with the belt by Hogan, who pins him and becomes the WCW World Champion, and immediately spray paints NWO on the belt. Hogan, again, not enough credit. He is good at spray painting those initials on a belt with an aerosol
Fair, he
can.
didn't mess that up at all.
Doesn't do it.
He will do things to his friends now.
He will.
Because he's the bad man.
Out comes Brutus Beefcake with a birthday cake carried by two men who look really worried to be there. They're just really anxious. He is the booty man.
Yes.
And he's come out to wish his good friend Hulk Hogan a happy birthday. It's a pleasure to wish you happy birthday in front of all these people at Starrcade, he says. Wrong. And that's sort of swallowed. And Hogan must have then just sat there and sort of gone, I give you all these chances and you come out and you just bollocksed it up. You know, not fucking Starrcade. Hogan talks about his 22 years of friendship and stuff, and then Hogan says, but one thing I don't do is mix business and friendship. And he wants to go friendship because that's the important thing.
Yeah.
But he then begins introducing pleasure.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't mix business and pleasure.
The reason the NWO is so powerful, the reason we're going to make Ted Turner look like a second-class citizen, we're going to wipe out the WCW, is that we never mix business with friendship or pleasure. And you know something?
That's the phrase, isn't it? And he keeps on going, I don't want to miss business with friendship and pleasure. He said, friendship and pleasure.
Like care in the community.
I don't want to miss business with care in the community. Hogan is saying the difference between me and Flair is you can attack Flair's best friend and it affects him and it hurts him.
Yeah.
Me, I've gone so far.
Yeah.
I can beat the shit out of my best friend. And if I can do that to my best friend, just imagine what I do to Ric Flair. I didn't mind this, but Brutus does do it ineptly and he's not big enough for this to really work.
Yeah.
At this time. And the cake is confusing because it's a missed opportunity. Nash, you will see him putting it down really gingerly. And I was like, okay, Beefcake's going to get powerbombed into that cake.
Yeah.
And he puts it down gingerly. And I can only think he did that because he's looking forward to having some later.
Yeah.
And he's like, protect the cake.
Protect the cake. Not just the cake.
Absolutely.
That's my favourite flavour.
The real problem with this as well is you can't say Brutus Beefcake.
Right.
Because Brutus is under this thing called the Booty Man. Yes. And he keeps having to go, see, the thing is Booty Man. And Booty Man. If you're really good friends with someone, Booty Man. You know, what's his real name? Can't say it, but it's Booty Man. It's like the person furthest on your friendship group. You know, where you all talk about, who's that guy you know? He's like Booty Man. You know, it makes Hogan look like such a stupid baby that Brutus is his best friend.
The things that I did for Hulk, I didn't want anything back from. I didn't expect anything. I did those things because he was my friend.
I spent quite a lot of last week doing the newsletter.
I think the image of Hulk Hogan giving a holistic kind of healing blowjob to
cheer up blowjob.
Cheer up blowjob to Brutus the Barber Beefcake with his head packed with ice because of his accident. Was it like a parasailing accident?
That's right.
And what makes me laugh is like Hulk Hogan goes into it's too much detail about not sucking his friend off.
If you've not read the newsletter, Hulk Hogan's ex-wife sort of said, I think Hogan and Beefcake were having a gay relationship.
Yes.
And Hogan sort of went, that was such a horrible rumour. Let me explain the misconception that's led to it. And rather than just going, this is what happens when people get divorced, people throw slander around. She just said, I think he and Brutus were like gay. They were that close. And he went, what happened is, right, Brutus was receiving oral sex from his girlfriend who had long blonde hair
and a baldy
in the sitting room of my ex-wife's family. Don't know
just
why.
Too much detail.
His head packed in ice. He's come round. They've packed his head in ice. And the grandmother comes down and she sees this happening. And the next morning, Hulk goes to the dining table, and everyone's really sort of angry and a bit sort of like got their back up. Yeah. And he's like, what's going on, brothers? And they say, Grandma, Meemaw, Mimmels, she saw you noshing off your mate, Brother Brutus, last night in our sitting room. And he's like, oh, what a hilarious mix-up.
His girlfriend, who was not being seen for some months.
Yeah, she was here, but she came when all of you had gone to bed. And she leaves she hears you coming down the stairs, and she steals out of the window.
You know, Hulkster, everywhere we go, all the hulkamaniacs are asking the same question. They want to know, have we crossed over the line? Did we go past the point of no return? Why do we want to What is it that we're looking for? Why do we want to do this thing?
Would you mistake a lady for Hulk Hogan? A lady for Hulk Hogan, even from the back. A lady for Hulk Hogan.
There's no woman, and I want to see a picture of a woman who's got Hulk Hogan's hair.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan's hair stops at a very specific place.
It does.
It just, it stops on the top. It starts at the top, and then at the end of there's no split ends with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
it's just this kind of mad sliced. He doesn't get his hair cut anywhere.
No,
he just cuts it off himself. And it's very straight. Yes. And no woman has ever had that hair in history.
No, I mean, what he should have said is, whatever happened, I don't really know, wasn't there, but the grandmother, dementia. That's all it is. And they'll say she doesn't have dementia, and he'll go, no, she does. Come on, don't be, I mean, it's heartbreaking, but let's not. But instead, there's this... Have you ever heard of Hulkella Hogano? No, oh, God.
I was just going... actually, she's just next door.
Yeah. She's the most attractive woman in Clearwater. So that's an old story that we did cover. But, I mean, what an image. And how nice to see two lovers reunited at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
And you do look at them with a different light.
But I got something I've had on the back burner. And it's going to turn the tables. It's going to give us a little satisfaction, if you know what I mean, brother. You just got to be my partner. Trust me, man. Just be my partner.
Hold on a second, brother. You know,
Hogan is the master of lying and being rumbled. And I'm not saying he was lying in this case. Let's take him at his word.
Yes.
But B, the master of
just full-mouthed words.
Every story just diminishes him slightly. Whether it's a lie or the truth, you're just like, the more you find out about him, the more you're like, but all the heroes have feet of clay.
It's just like, and he never does these kind of straight, kind of really filthy, complaining podcast interviews. He just does interviews with pretty ladies from like Muscle Weekly and stuff.
They don't know because they're not that interested in what he's saying.
No.
So everyone watches them back, and all the wrestling people just go, why is he saying that?
Yeah.
You know? Andre the Giant's helmet was rolling down. I managed to pick it up and I put it back on his body. And he said, thank you, Hulkster, for saving my life. And I said, do not mention it. You know, and they just sort of go, that's an amazing story. You know, now tell us about what happened with the Beefcake thing.
He never talks to anyone who's ever watched a professional wrestling match. So he gets away with so much. It's like Donald Trump, like constantly taking questions from like InfoWars.
It is. Well, we know him best from his performance in Mr. Nanny. It's, you know, people just not educated.
I am a road of Mr. Nanny. Mr. Nanny.
I was actually given the official title of Mr. Nanny by the Federation of Male Nannies and Childminders for my role as Bumble Tundletut. Just not even checking IMDb. What they were doing at this show is they were also pushing quite heavily that there was going to be a fourth member of the NWO.
Yes.
Who was going to be introduced during the main event. That person was going to be Sean Waltman. The former 1, 2, 3 kid. How is this going to tie up?
No, it's not going to tie up. I've just mentioned Sean Penn for no reason. I think it still works.
That guy was Sean Waltman, not Sean Penn the actor. See video. Now, he was going to be the fourth man who was going to join them. And what happened was he was ready to go at this show, Hog Wild. In fact, Sean Waltman was backstage, but we don't see him, do we?
No.
No, and the reason for that is
in the
because
chopper.
the WWF sent him his release papers so that he could debut, and there was a mix-up, and they somehow got lost in the post. So a good bit of old WWF promoter fucking with your opposition, exactly that. And what happens is he can't then debut, and they're so nervous about the legal stuff going in between them, about dealing with each other's legal teams, that WCW just said, okay, we'll ignore it. And the following week, they introduced the fourth member, Ted DiBiase, who they already basically had just given a contract to. There was no problems. And X-Pac, Sean Waltman, he would be the sixth member to join the NWO, hence his name Six. So he was supposed to be out tonight, but he didn't get to do it. By this point, we cut back to the announcers. Heenan got his hand half in and half out of his pocket. Casual.
I'm
absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Try look smooth.
Doing a little bit of a rock as well. Little rock. And he's got his mouth a little bit open, like his tongue feels a bit big. Tongue feels a bit big. And he just looks appalling. They rattle through. Don't let him speak because they don't want him to say anything. And he kind of ends it by just going, I was going to say, oh. And it works.
Yes.
But that was also a decision that was made to not go, Bobby, would you like to say something? And have him go,
I need some speed.
And finally, Pete, we get the credits. And I noticed stage manager Wood Dog.
Wood Dog.
And I
sounds like that was money paid to a biking organisation.
That looks like a local chapter managed to get their guy in,
that you're not going to smash the place up.
So, Wood Dog, are you going to do any stage managing? I don't know. You gonna do any paying and fucking off? Oh, Wood Dog.
Wood Dog.
Wood Dog.
Well, where's the members of the Dungeon Doom when you need them?
Brain. Bobby. Brain. Bobby, you know.
Show's over, Bob.
Bobby, I want to apologize publicly to you on this television station